which includes historic Brattonsville. Welcome to our Reconstruction event today. Reconstruction, the 12 years following the American Civil War, was a time of great hope, but also a time of great strife, especially for African-American men, women, and children who had recently been freed by the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution. Other amendments were passed and laws were passed that gradually enfranchised these freedmen, gave them more rights, and as freedmen got more and more power, Southern whites who had long held power over them saw the power that they had held over them diminish. And in a lot of cases, this led to anger and fear, which occasionally manifested itself in violence that was perpetrated by vigilante groups like the Ku Klux Klan. The Ku Klux Klan arrived here for the first time in York County in 1868, but they reached the height of their violence in a 6-month period between 1870 and 1871. During the 6-month period, we have an estimated 600 beatings and 11 murders that occurred at the hands of the Ku Klux Klan. The last person to be murdered of those 11 was a man named James Williams. He was formerly enslaved here on the Bratton plantation. He escaped from slavery, joined the Union Army, and when he returned, he became an active civil rights leader, a vocal critic of the Ku Klux Klan, and he was appointed captain of a state-established African-American militia. Of course, this made him a target for the Ku Klux, and he was murdered on March 7, 1871. As a result of Williams's murder, as well as the widespread racially motivated violence throughout the South, the Congress of the United States passed 3 pieces of legislation collectively known as the Enforcement Acts. Ulysses S. Grant, the president at the time, used the power granted to him in the Enforcement Acts to suspend the writ of habeas corpus in York County and 8 other counties in the South Carolina back country. He also sent federal troops from the 18th Infantry and the 7th Cavalry to York County to occupy this area under the command of a guy named Major Lewis Merrill. Merrill conducted investigations into the Klan violence, and he led mass arrests. The suspension of habeas corpus allowed him to arrest large groups of people suspected of being Ku Klux. What you are about to see in this vignette is a fictional representation of what one of these arrests might have looked like. We know that arrests were occurring in public spaces like general stores throughout York County, and though we don't have evidence to suggest that an arrest happened here at this general store, we know that it is likely that arrests like this occurred elsewhere in York County. So without any further delay, I give to you the arrest.
Have you read the Yorkville Inquirer this week?
No, I haven't had the chance. What's the news?
It says that the Yankee troops under that Major Merrill have been arresting innocent people in Yorkville.
You know, I heard the same thing from one of my neighbors. They said that cavalry soldiers showed up to her door and arrested her husband and Mr. McConnell. Can you imagine that? I assure you he did nothing wrong. These soldiers are just arresting people, going about their private business.
This is terrible. If the soldiers are here to restore order, why are we law-abiding citizens being attacked? We are just trying to defend ourselves against this so-called militia.
We all know that it's our carpet-bagging governor is the one who armed these militias to begin with. His allegiance is obvious. He has not given us white citizens anything to defend ourselves with.
You're absolutely right, ladies. After we've pleaded openly in the newspapers, the outrages and arsons have not stopped. How many buildings have been burned? We ask for peace, and what do they give us? Nothing but fear and false imprisonment.
This is just like during the war.
It is.
Remember the people abandoning their crops and refusing to harvest them? It's happening all over again. Life as we know it has stopped.
Even the store hasn't gotten as many customers. The Yankees can't do this to us.
My husband, John, fled to Tennessee to avoid capture.
And my husband, Rufus, for fear of his life, went all the way to Canada.
It's all because of that militia leader. What was his name?
Jim Williams.
That's right, Jim Williams. Can you believe they brought his body here? And then his militia mustered and showed up. The whole family was scared for their lives. Luckily, our people were here to defend us.
Only my husband, Captain Jim Williams, was the leader of our militia. He was raised for our protection, and I was proud of him. We all were. He and so many others were brave enough to keep our community safe and protect us, but only if it had lasted. Jim Williams, he was murdered. He was lynched by one of the Bratton brothers. They brought his body here to the store. The coroner brought his body here to the store. Some people, they didn't like our militia. They were afraid, they were angry and vengeful. And we were proud of him, but he was murdered. And masked men would visit my family and friends at night, and they would beat them within an inch of their life. And for what? For living? For being who they are? Or for what they look like? Thank God the attacks have stopped now. Finally, someone's here to help us. Am I right in that you're looking for information on Mr. Carroll?
Yes, we're looking for one Mr. Millis Carey's wanted for questioning.
He's over there near the Bratton store.
Are you certain?
I'm sure. I'd recognize his face anywhere. His mask slipped off when my husband was killed.
Thank you, miss. Follow me. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention? As of October 19th, 1871, President Grant has suspended the writ of habeas corpus here in New York County as to regain civil authority. Those found in violation of the Ku Klux Acts and the Enforcement Acts shall be arrested. We're looking for one Mr. Millis Carroll.
You're under arrest. I don't.
No, stop! You can't do this! This isn't right!
We're also looking for a few other individuals. We're Mr. John Bratton Jr. and a Dr. Rufus Bratton are wanted for questioning. You know where I can find these men?
I don't know where my husband is right now.
Well, where is he gone?
I don't know that either. He hasn't told me.
When will he return?
I don't know that.
Well, ma'am, where's your husband?
I don't know where he is. All I do know is that the doctor has business to attend to.
It would not be wise to conceal that information. If you find out any information, you will inform us. Not be wise found obstructing justice. Ma'am?
29 people that were indicted initially for the murder of James Williams. Only one, Millis Carroll, stood trial. He was found guilty, and he was sentenced to 18 months in prison and a $100 fine. 8 others, though they did not stand trial, they still confessed, and they were likewise sentenced to 18 months in prison and a $100 fine. The remainder of those 29 initially indicted never stood trial in conjunction with James Williams' murder. That includes their leaders. Allegedly, according to eyewitness testimony at the Ku Klux trials, James Rufus Bratton was involved, as well as John Simpson Bratton Jr., his brother. They both fled the area, James Rufus eventually fleeing to Canada. What you just witnessed came from editorials from a local newspaper of the time, the Yorkville Inquirer. So the opinions stated in the vignette, in the dialogue, come directly from the Yorkville Inquirer. So if you're interested in seeing the script as well as the sources, I do have those available to you. And if you have any questions at all regarding what you've seen or anything else on the site, please come find me. My name is Zach. Again, I'm the staff historian. But you can also speak to any of our trained interpreters. They'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions. And please, I encourage you to please take a look at the new exhibits in the Brick House as soon as you finish up here.